What's happening, folks? Welcome back to Celtic Fans TV. It's time for your Twitter reactions to Rangers 2, Celtic 0 at Ibrox in the Scottish Cup, the final nail in the coffin for this disaster of a season. Before we get into it, I have to tell you about our sponsors, OneFootball. The OneFootball app is the best football app on the planet. You can get line-up notifications as soon as the teams are announced on match days. You can get pre-match stats for every game as well. You can get goal alerts from leagues from all around the world, league tables. You can add widgets to your home screen to keep tabs on Celtic's next fixture, who it's against, what the kick-off time is, all of that sort of stuff. The app is free to download wherever you get your apps on your phone, and you can download it by clicking the link in the description of this video. It's a great way for you to support Celtic Fans TV, so if you haven't downloaded it already, click the link below, get involved, and let me know what you think. We'll start tonight with Craig Allen. I wouldn't play half that team for the rest of the season. It's done. Play the kids. They might put some effort in. The club is embarrassing from top to bottom. As I say, today is the final nail in the coffin for this season, and the performance had so many factors in it that tell you exactly where Celtic is at the minute. It was so poor from minute 1 to minute 90, and we did have spells in the game where we created chances, but like has been the case in every single big game this season, when we've got the chances, we have found a way to fuck them up. I mean, the really bad thing in the first half was the defending, where people are just getting dribbled past left, right and centre. The two fullbacks are so limited. We covered this in the full-time reaction video. John Joe Kenny's hopeless. Laxalt was hopeless. Scott Brown he's so far past it in these games, Scott Brown at this age. We got overran at times. Rangers, again, didn't play in top gear. They weren't absolutely fantastic, but they don't need to beat us. They can play in second or third gear and beat us comfortably. Ultimately, I know we had the chances and we missed them, but the team is just absolutely destroyed. It's finished. This Celtic team is finished, and psychologically, it's so weak. That's what the chances come down to, because we have the chances in the second half, and it's not about having the ability or the skill to finish them. It's that mentally the team is gone. It's absolutely gone. Just dreadful all over the park. You get a feel when you're watching a game, and you could just tell that this Celtic team is miles off it. Andrew Stout, spineless, toothless, lack of quality, a lack of hunger. Boot lacks out back to Milan. Edouard was horrific. Cannot miss penalties in these games. McGregor was nowhere all game as well. I think Edouard was terrible today. Absolutely terrible. I can't believe with that rebound where he's got the open goal that he goes with the outside of his foot. It is embarrassing. It's one of the worst decisions that I've ever seen, because if he just opens up his foot, side foots it low, he's scored. I don't know why he would try and do something as flashy as that, but his head's gone. Mentally, he checked out. He checked out at Celtic last summer, and so did a few others, maybe Christie as well. Just so dreadfully poor. McGregor played the game as if he had his boots tied together. Obviously, he wasn't partly culpable for the first goal by overrunning in the middle of the park. But then I think El Yunusi's even culpable because he doesn't get out to Haribo quick enough, lets him come inside. Ayer's block's really poor. I think Bain could do better. And the second goal's just dreadful for Laxalt and Kenny together. If Kenny goes with his left foot, he's got a chance of clearing it. Goes with his right foot and smashes it past Scott Bain. Honest to God, dreadful. Like, as we said in the full-time reaction, it looked like every time Rangers attacked, they could score. And that's the story of our season. This is a very weak Celtic team, and it's in a horrible state of repair because of the mismanagement of the club in the past few years. Kieran Cochrane, shocker. Players don't look bothered, and we can't finish simple chances. Defending like kids sums up this season. How many chances do we need? We could easily have scored 3 or 4 today. We could have scored 3 or 4 today, right after Edouard's unbelievable decision to go with the outside of his foot. He plays in El Yunusi one-on-one, and he can't even control it. He can't control a 10-yard pass. Played at him. It's not coming at him at a ferocious pace. It's just a standard 10-yard pass, and he can't control it, and McGregor comes in and smothers it. And that just sums it up. That's not about ability. It's not about skill. That's about mental focus, concentration, belief. The team have got none of that. The team are so weak. And spineless and toothless is something that Andrew said in the previous tweet. You get all of those things stereotypically when you lose a big game. When you lose a derby, people have always said that it's spineless, toothless, all of those sorts of phrases. But this Celtic team is all of that. This Celtic team has got nothing left in it. There's so many players who don't want to be here, and that's why like you can coast. It's all right to coast against Falkirk and Livingston. You'll get away with it. You can win, but ultimately, as a Celtic player, you find out where you're at when you play in Europe or when you play against Rangers. And the intensity today was just miles off where it needed to be. Rangers had a bit of energy about them, and Kent, who played well, and Aribo at times as well. They had a bit of creativity, a bit of edge, a bit of explosiveness. We don't seem to have any of that, and when it comes to the crunch and you get the chances, we just can't take them, and that's the story all season because we haven't won a big game. We have not won a single big match this season, and that's incredible. There's been nothing in between from when we were dominating these games and we could win them in second or third gear to the point now where Rangers can do it. There was nothing in between. You'd expect a period in between where it was really tight between the teams, or there might be a year or two where it's really tight, but it hasn't happened. It's went from one extreme straight to the other because Celtic have fallen so sharply, so quickly, and as I say, it comes back to the mismanagement on behalf of the board. Patrick Murphy 89. We knew that squad was as good as finished. Today, rubber stamped it for me. Shocking recruitment and the refusal to make changes earlier in the season are the main reasons for our capitulation this year. Mackay has one hell of a job on his hands. I said at the end of the full-time reaction there that I want the club to acknowledge the mistakes they've made. They've made catastrophic errors, the people who run the club, and I want them to acknowledge it. I don't want them to extol the virtues of how well they've done and they've presided over this unbelievable period of domestic dominance and quadruple treble and 9 in a row. And the reality is the decisions that the board have made have brought the club to this point where we're going to end the season trophyless. Obviously, the squad is an absolute mess. The recruitment has been atrocious for years and years, and we've been sleeping. The club have been sleeping. I think the board and Peter Lawwell, they've been just getting into their work, coasting for 2, 3, 4, maybe a decade. They've been coasting, and they could get away with it. When we had Rodgers, we were obviously massively successful because he was an excellent coach, regardless of what you think of him. But the decision making almost at every turn since the day he left has been abysmal, absolutely abysmal. And I want them to acknowledge that, tell us how they're going to improve it, tell us what the vision is for the club, because if not, they'll just make these same mistakes again. People talk all the time about Celtic not capitalising on a position of strength. That's what's happened here. And who's to say we won't do it again? Because the club is still run by the same people. The thinking is still the same. And I know we're talking about changing the structure this season, but we have to hear clearly from the club what the plan is, how they're going to go forward, and how they're going to avoid making all of these mistakes again. We'll finish tonight with Matthew Glenn. We haven't beaten them since December 2019, a year and a half. We can't score, we can't defend. Edward has been disinterested all season, and the penalty miss summed that up. Turnbull was the only player I thought put any effort in. That run, December 2019, and in that game, obviously, they battered us, and we managed to come out 1-0 in the final. It's so stark, the change from 2 or 3 years ago to now. Everything's turned so quickly, and as I say, it keeps coming back to the decision making of the board. Like, I think it's 5 games unbeaten in these derbies for Rangers now. Again, that hasn't happened for 2008, 2009. And that is the reality where we're at. We're miles off where we need to be. And the job in the summer is absolutely huge. It's almost hard to quantify how big the task is this summer, because you see that team today and it's lost. It's got nothing to it. That team's got nothing to it. It needs a lot of repairing. It needs players. It needs a manager, a very good manager that everyone can buy into, everyone can believe in and get behind. It needs leaders. It needs a lot more quality in 5 or 6 or maybe even 7 positions. The job is absolutely massive, and the club have got to come out and tell us what's happening, tell us how we're going forward, and tell us how they're going to avoid making these same mistakes again. Like the video and comment your own thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.